All right, welcome to the warm-up. On that side of the screen is my man Jeff Power on Ward for Soul. We are warming you up for this week of mainly basketball in the Houston area, but my man Jeff's been around. He's been all over the place. Jeff, are you happy to finally be able to be in your own house instead of going to state championships all over the place?
Yeah, well, we had wrestling in the Houston area last week over in Cypress at the Berry Center. This week it was UIL State Swimming and Diving over at the Jamale Swim Center on the campus of University of Texas. Both great facilities, by the way, and good times, but glad to be home, no doubt.
Yeah, Jeff was everywhere covering it on his own for the most part, too. That's a one-man band right there. He's got cymbals and a hi-hat. He's playing everything, the one-man band. But we appreciate it. You brought us some good stuff for the show and for our social media stuff, so we appreciate that. But you mentioned swimming and diving, and that's what I want to touch on here as we get into the lineup. The Houston area, as usual, had a lot of swimmers in the pool there for the swimming and diving championships. Jeff, you were there. Tell us how we did boys' side first.
Yeah, let's start with the boys. In fact, it was a star-studded lineup, including two-time gold medal champion Micah Tennyson out of Conroe Oak Ridge, who took first in the 200-yard freestyle with a time of 1:35.18. Tennyson also won the boys' 100-yard free in a time of 43.63. So War Eagle, as his fan base from Oak Ridge posted, and he did great. Boys 200 medley relay team, they had a great squad over at Straight Jesuit. It consisted of Jack Madden, Jacob Bugaeff, Michael Ewan, Evan Alastaras, and they took gold and also silver in the 400-yard freestyle relay. In fact, Bugaeff also took a gold individually in the boys' 100-yard backstroke with a time of 53.65, just ahead of Will Curry of Flower Mound Marcus, whose team, by the way, won the state title for the boys. Jack Madden of Strake earned the bronze in that event at 54.06. Now, the boys' 200-yard IM was won by Jackson Hartzler of Bridgeland in a time of 1:46.71. Bugaeff and Madden of Straight Jesuit finished second and third in the 200-yard IM. Straight Jesuit finished second overall in the boys' team standings. Now, Fort Bend Travis got an outstanding performance from Cade Nilsson, who earned gold in the boys' 50-yard free with a time of 20.47, just ahead of Brock Hunter of Houston Stratford and Demetrius Sturbs of Seven Lakes, who was third. And Nilsson, by the way, had his own cheering section. They were fantastic. And two state records were broken. I wanted to mention by Rowan Cox of Austin Bowie and the 100-yard butterfly, just ahead of Riley Potter of Katy Jordan. Cox also set a state record in the 100-yard backstroke as well.
Well, that's good for the boys. How do we do on girls? Because I know there's one person I had my eye on at Cadence Johnson. You'll get into her, I'm sure. But how did the rest of our girls do at swimming and diving?
Well, the 100-yard backstroke was won by League City Clear Springs swimmer Macy DeGroot in a time of 53.42. Olivia Colombo of South Lake Carroll was second, followed by Zoe Park of Katy Cinco Ranch, just over a second back. You mentioned Cadence Johnson, the 100 butterfly. She was amazing. Not only did she win with a time of 54.33, barely beating out Kim Kulo of Fort Bend Austin, who had a time of 54.22. Cadence also took silver in the 200 individual medley, so she had a great performance. Remember, coming out of HISD, that is like an unprecedented territory right there. Isabella Muir of Tomball took silver in the girls' 500 freestyle and bronze in the girls' 200 free, with Winnie Lee of Fort Bend Dulles earning silver in that girls' 200 free. Winnie also got silver in the 100 free in a time of 50.41. And Ella McWhorter of Keller won the girls' 100 breaststroke, followed by Sloan Rocha of Grand Oaks, who took silver, and Alexis Messina of Tomball Memorial got the bronze. And finally, the Woodlands Highlanders won the state title on the girls' side, highlighted by silver medal finishes in the 200 medley and the 200 freestyle relay. The Woodlands junior Evelyn Redover got second in the 100 breaststroke, and Brooklyn Grant took silver in the 1 meter diving for the Woodlands, who scored 212.4 points as a team, earning their 13th state championship since 1989. Jeremy Wade, he is the Woodlands girls swim coach. The Woodlands was one of those teams, Ward, that they didn't get a lot of first places, but they got a lot of second, third, and just were all over the scoreboard, and that's what it really matters when it comes to swimming and diving.
Yeah, they found themselves on the podium, which is all that matters. Accumulate them points and get yourself the overall goal, which is pretty cool.
That's right.
Boy, I tell you what, every time you mention that 500 meter freestyle, because I start thinking about, oh, well, I'm never going to win a gold in these events, but I'd love to. I think I can finish in all of them, but 500 meter, you better have a lifeguard on hand, because after about 150 meters, that's it for me. Somebody send a lifeguard. I don't know about you though. Maybe you can make that distance.
Oh no, that's tough. Forget it.
That's not. Nope, can't do it.
Maybe the 100 meters.
100, yeah, 100 and less, we can at least finish, right? That's what we're looking for.
Right.
Well, we got basketball coming up we have it all week, but we're coming in Friday and Saturday. The girls are getting ready to head to state, and the boys are making round 2. And we have one of the coaches who picked up a big win on Tuesday, Cy Falls, Richard Flores. And you'll see this in our media day that he is also a big fan of the show.
The Houston area Chevy dealers. Visit your nearest Chevy dealer and test drive our award-winning vehicles. Serving up the best treats and eats in Texas. Stop by DQ and treat yourself before and after the game.
Yeah, that's right. We are joined by head coach of Cy Falls, Richard Flores, who is extremely happy. I did not say Robert this time. Coach, over age, I learned better, and I don't start saying people's brothers' names anymore, so we're straight with that. Coach Flores, once again, Coach, you guys got yourself in a sweet position here where you haven't lost since I just started my Christmas shopping. That's how long this has been since Cy Falls has seen an L on the column. You guys are playing well at the end of the season, but in your eyes, what do you feel like you're doing the best at as a team?
The month of December was not a great month for us. I felt like, you can get sloppy in a hurry when you're in tournament play, and it can also be a good learning experience. And so we played some really good teams. We were in some really good tournaments, and it's been the opportunity to get back to the video breakdown, the position skill development, fundamentals of spacing were really good for us coming off of those tournaments and then just learning from those tournaments. The teams that we played, the tournaments that we played were all in preparation for us to continue to get better. And, obviously those were some games that were close and we would have liked to have won, but I just knew that if we were exposed in a good way or a bad way, or, and when you go to the exposure card, it was going to be a good experience for us regardless.
Well, one thing a Coach Flores team always hangs their hat on is great defense. You got a defense title belt over there. You've done things that frustrate the opponent beyond belief. You're doing it again this year. Talk to me about, the teams are averaging 32, 33 points a game against you. Talk to me about what makes your defense so stingy. Kind of reminds me of when I take a date out. I'm so stingy. But why is your defense like that?
Well, we were hoping to get another one of those belts that you guys sent us, and that's why I had to rep the hat today. That was a great gift. But, one of the things that this team has in comparison to probably last year's team is the ability to score and kind of score within ease, whether it's in transition or things like that. So, I just talked to them probably following those December tournaments and explained to them, listen, one of y'all's differences is y'all are just okay with allowing another team to score. And that's never been my mentality. And the way that whether it's increase the lead or you maintain a lead, is by continuously getting stops. And so they've bought in. And again, the video breakdown of the technique and what they should be doing to close out it and complete a clean possession so we're out in transition has been good.
And to have a rim eraser down there with Daniel Patton, and on the other end, your maintenance guys are probably upset with him the way he damages the rims left and right with these monster dunks. You got Tyler Young. Talk about some of the guys you have on your team that you can really feel like you can help lead you through this playoff run.
Yeah, James Stackhouse and Daryl Brown, our point guards, do a great job in getting everybody in really good positions, but as you talk about Ty Young, he wasn't starting for us, and super proud of him as a senior, just coming in, starting for us and taking on the role of just looking for opportunities for himself to get involved in the offense when those opportunities come, but also to get somebody like Alvin Washington some good looks along the perimeter and facilitating, just having another facilitator to get, Daniel Patton in transition. And Michael Price is also one of the big keys. He's a guy who can kind of do it all, hit some trail threes, but also sometimes for us has to defend a big. So guys like that. And Christian Payne has come off the bench and also helped us as well. And can't say enough about sophomore Samir Watson, who's a 6'6" sophomore. He was just on our freshman A last year, and he's grown tremendously this year.
Long, lengthy players. That's the trademark over there at South. That's how you grow them over there.
That's right.
So let's make this 6-game run. Try to get a title. Then we can all sit back and watch JoJo try to get one over there at Houston, and everything will be great in Houston, right?
That would be great. That would be a great run right there.
I appreciate you joining me, Coach. I also appreciate you wearing the hat. Have a good one, and we will see you down the road.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
The Houston area Chevy dealers. Visit your nearest Chevy dealer and test drive our award-winning vehicles. Parker University. Check out our bachelor's degree in strength and human performance today.
Thanks a lot, Coach. Yes, Cy Falls is definitely a big-time favorite. And let's discuss a little bit more about the UIL and TAPS playoffs as we dive into the agenda brought to you by Allegro.
Chevrolet's Inside High School Sports is brought to you by Allegro Marinade. Whether you're the family chef, a backyard barbecuer, or a jerky-making genius, maximize flavor and tenderness with Allegro Marinades.
Talking about UIL, like I said, we're in round 2 for the boys, round 4 for the girls. What are your thoughts on what's been going on and what could be happening here in the UIL postseason here?
Well, let's start with the girls on the UIL side. Heading into the regional finals, the girl squads that have been the most impressive included Klein Collins out of 6A Division I, who doubled up Conroe over this past weekend. Cy Creek out of 6A Division I in Region 2. Those are the impressive teams over there. I think the Region 3 impressive teams might be Cy Creek, who beat Seven Lakes, plus Summer Creek. Of course, they're trying to, get all the way to the state finals again over in San Antonio. And then, I think when you look at it, it's a toss-up from that point forward. There were some upsets early on, Jersey Village beating Fulshire. I'd watch out for a team like Dawson. They could make some headway here, I think, as well. But it's really kind of a tough situation right now. I mean, if you look at some of the scores in the first round, you'll see some lopsided games like the way Cy Springs beat Westfield 65-32. Langham Creek beat Grand Oaks 49-16. I mean, those are games that you just don't see as you get further along. But other teams I'd kind of watch out for, Hightower, of course. I think Shadow Creek can also go long. They both had lopsided wins early on. Those are the squads I'd watch out for in 6A. Maybe over in 5A, I like LaPorte. LaPorte had a big lopsided win early on against A&M Consolidated, 63-28. Barbers Hill has looked really good. Some of our schools got knocked out. Fort Bend Marshall fell to Pflugerville Weiss, and Randall lost to Pflugerville High. So the Pflugerville schools were doing good out of the Austin area. But I think when it comes right down to it, the best chances that we're going to have, I think, on the girls' side is 6A and 5A. It remains to be seen if we get some schools maybe in 4A, but Wheatley losing to Bridge City was a big blow for us last week, and we'll see how things pan out as we go further along with the girls.
Yeah, you know what? I had high hopes. You kind of turned me on to maybe not having such high hopes on Grand Oaks going into the beginning of the season. You saw them in early season, and you're like, oh, I don't know. They may not have what you think they have, and to only put up 16 in the playoffs, I guess I was wrong about them. I could be wrong about some teams here.
Yeah.
What about the boys? I know we're only going into round 2 here, but anybody working up ahead of steam here?
Yeah, a couple of the teams that I'm kind of looking out for, I think on the boys' side, Klein Oak can go a long way. Cy Ranch is another one. I mean, Cy Ranch has been one of those teams all year long where they've been right around the top, or Seven Lakes. These are all teams that I expect to go far. I really feel like the one thing I would say about Seven Lakes is they've got 2 or 3 players. And, the difference is when you get into this round, you got to have more than one guy. I mean, if it's one guy, one girl, they can kind of shut them down, as we found out with Wheatley and Jamie Solomon. Once she was shut down, the rest of the team had trouble scoring. Seven Lakes, for example, it's not just Nasir Price. They got a lot of players they can go to. And I think that ends up being the difference, because you've got to have those backups. Who are the other guys that can maybe even come off the bench? Atascocita is another one. I think Atascocita is definitely a team that you can watch out for. Once again, they've got so much depth, so much talent that you just feel like they could maybe go a long way. And, and you talk with Richard Flores. I mean, I think no doubt about it, Cy Falls is definitely one of the favorites as well. They're one of those teams that, again, they're long. They've got an opportunity they got multiple scorers, and they play great defense too. Don't underestimate the importance of playing really good defense, especially when you get into the postseason. Just ask the Houston Cougars. The key is if you play defense, you're in every game, even if you can't quite score, which seems to be what the Cougars have had trouble with the last couple of games that they lost. But bottom line is, those are some of the top teams.
What about TAPS? I just now realized, I didn't just now realize, but we talk so much about UIL. TAPS is giving out some trophies this weekend. What chances do we have to get some of that hardware?
Well, I think kind of the surprise teams, like for example, on the girls' side, let's start with them. Second Baptist, the Village School out of Houston, a couple teams that, made it to state. Congratulations to them, Meanwhile, in Class 4A, the boys, St. Thomas Episcopal of Houston battling Westbury Christian at noon on Friday. That's a big game. That's a semifinal. That's a game that I would highly recommend people go out and get out there and see. I mean, you got a couple of Houston area teams playing right there in 4A. It's over in Waco. That should be a lot of fun. Also, the boys' Second Baptist squad out of Houston playing the Woodlands Christian Academy at 8 p.m. Friday night. That's another big one, another all Houston area battle. We've talked about Reese Alston and what he's meant for Second Baptist, averaging 24 points per game. Shia Francis, 13 points per game. You see, it's the fact that they got more than one guy. I think that's so important. Yeah. And Shia is definitely a great basketball player as well. And
getting the bobblehead this weekend, too.
Yeah, that's right. Don't forget, those state finals, if you want to go check it out, over at Waco Robinson High School, our Class 4A is at 11 a.m. Saturday. 6A is at 1:30. And then at 4 p.m. is the 5A. So that's they go 4A, 6A, 5A. Yeah, that's where Second Baptist will be. So that'll be a lot of fun. Some opportunities to see some really good basketball over there, no doubt about it.
Well, I talked a lot about Second Baptist. I may have just did the bulletin board material for the Woodlands Christian right now. Huh? It could be Woodlands Christian, too. Sorry about that, Woodlands Christian fan. I apologize. Yeah, it's going to be fun stuff. I'll actually be there Saturday for the boys' finals there, shoot that stuff. So that'll be a fun time. Second Baptist going for back-to-back in that one. So we will see what happens. All right, well, that's going to do it for this week's show. We're going to go ahead and leave you now with top 5 6A Houston softball teams because softball season's underway. Take a look at who we think are the top 5 teams in 6A for softball. Join us next week. We'll help you warm up for the next weekend.